And good morning. Welcome to the K-Files. This morning we have with us Mike Lamm with Rocky Mount Police Department. Is your title like investigator or detective?
Yeah.
Okay. Rank structure, is that kind of like a sergeant or?
Well, my rank is a corporal.
Okay.
I'm just assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for coming on. I understand you have a case that
Yes.
you'd like to discuss with us. And first of all, thank you for coming on. Are you in this position relatively new? Are you going to be our new contact person with Rocky Mount Police Department as far as the show goes?
I'm going to be one of them.
Okay.
There's 3 homicide investigators right now, and I believe we're trying to alternate
Okay.
and to make sure that we make an appearance.
Okay, well, good, good. Now, who are they?
That would be Detective Cooper. He's been on the show a few times,
Okay.
I believe, and Detective Knorr. He's also been here.
Okay, good deal, good deal. Well, what have you got for us this morning?
So today I wanted to bring the homicide in reference to Quan'Najee Gorham. He is, he was, 20 years old at the time, and this case is a 2021 case. It occurred on June 8th at the 100 block of Raper Drive. Officers were called to the scene at approximately 8 o'clock in the morning in reference to a caller reporting a person laying in a driveway. When they arrived on scene, they found who they would later identify as Mr. Gorham, who was deceased from multiple gunshot wounds. Mr. Gorham, as I said, he was 20 years old at the time. He leaves behind a family, many friends, and we're just asking for the public's help in giving a little bit more information that we don't have right now. There's a lot of good leads in this case. There are some potential suspects, and we just really need the community's help in furthering this case.
You know, the public, I would say they don't understand. Anytime there's a crime, you usually get a lot of information. But in days following a crime, the tiniest bit of information that somebody could come forward and share could actually, it could help break a case.
Absolutely.
So no tip is too small, correct?
Correct.
Are y'all getting a lot of these tips from your text-to-tip line?
Yeah, we do get several of those.
Okay, all right. And they could always reach out to Team Cold Case, Twin County Crime Stoppers, Rocky Mount PD. Again, because the smallest tip could lead to a break in a case and, in effect, an arrest.
Correct.
Now, were you saying earlier, did I hear you say this was brothers?
Yes, there was a brother to Mr. Quan'Najee who was also murdered on, I believe it was Westwood Drive.
Okay.
And that case is unfortunately a cold case as well. They were brothers, so they leave behind a mother who's lost 2 children to violent crime. Yes.
I was telling you out here, man, I kind of keep up with what's going on in Rocky Mount and the area as far as crime goes with Team Cold Case, Crime Stoppers, things like that. And it seems like every day Rocky Mount's got a lot of activity going on.
It does.
Whether it's, just random shots fired or, a robbery, a holdup, constantly something going on in Rocky Mount. Are you seeing an overall uptick? Are you seeing things tick down? What are you seeing?
Well, from my point of view, it varies. I think some things are on the rise and some things on the decline. I do not know the statistics for this year so far, but I do know that around this time in 2021, beginning of 22 and 2020, when COVID was a thing,
right?
That a lot of people, the violent crime just was on the rise.
Right.
There's no denying that, and that was nationwide. But I believe that some of that is on a downtrend now. But it's still something that we're as a community trying to combat. So.
Right. Well, my background is highway patrol. I retired 27 years on the highway patrol, so I never really followed crime stats, violent crime stats. Everything we did is pretty much traffic related.
Right.
And it intrigues me how there are patterns to with the economy. with the demographics of a given area, and in crime like this. But anything else you want to share with? Any other cases you want to discuss?
Not this time. This is the only one I've prepared for today.
Okay.
But as always, if any member of our community who knows anything about any case that would want to reach out, please do. Any information, as you said earlier, no tip is too small, could greatly assist us in helping with these unsolved cases.
Yeah. I've had somebody, I live down in the southern end of the county, and it's funny to me how even way down there, people are intrigued by a lot of your Rocky Mount cases. The number one case I'm asked about is the former county commissioner. What is it? Cobb.
Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb.
Yes.
Anything going on with that you know of?
So I believe that is going to be the next case that we bring to talk about.
Yeah. I get a lot of questions about that.
Yes.
I do.
We have been actively working that one, from my understanding, and there may be some developments coming out in the near future about that case.
Okay. All right. And the other one is Baby Nash.
Baby Nash, yeah. That obviously happened way before my time.
Oh, yeah.
But that is still a case that's ongoing. I know the investigator who is worked it as a cold case, and I'm sure just like everybody else, I'm excited and hopeful that a resolution will be brought to that one as well.
Okay, well, this is our first time meeting.
Yep.
How long have you been with Rocky Mount PD? What's your background? Where are you from?
Well, I'm from the Nash County area.
Okay.
Kind of been through all over the state, and I've been with Rocky Mount Police Department for 8 years now.
Okay.
I've been in investigations for the last 2 years.
Okay.
I've kind of worked my way from the property crimes, your typical break-ins, larcenies, to the major cases, and now last year I was transferred to the homicide division. So.
Okay. You had a familiar look out here a while ago when I met you. Maybe we've crossed paths or something. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it, and as always, anytime Rocky Mount PD wants to come on and solicit anything from the public, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely, we'd love to be here, and definitely love talking about these cases to try to bring closure to those families.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the K-Files. With me this morning, I have a very good friend from my childhood, Miss Donna Price. She was Donna Woodcock.
Yep.
Grew up on Cambridge Circle in Rocky Mount. You were very good friends with my older siblings, Jerry, Cindy, and Nancy. We kind of grew up on Blandwood Drive off of Old Wilson Road, went to Blandwood Baptist Church together, and all of those good things. A lot of good memories in that neighborhood. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Unfortunately, it is about a case here in Rocky Mount that involved your daughter,
Yes.
Stephanie Hooper. She was 41. This case is from April 14th, 2023. I believe this is a Rocky Mount Police Department case, and it is a suspicious death.
Yes.
What can you share with us this morning?
Well, it was April 14th of 2023. Stephanie was found deceased in her apartment, and the case is still open. We just last Friday got the autopsy and toxicology reports, and I have been working closely with one of the detectives in Rocky Mount on the police force.
Okay. I know that Fighting Crime has shared this case several times over the past year, and one thing I want to let the public know is, with it being a suspicious death, with it being some unanswered questions, I want our viewers to understand, if you know something about this death or any case, you can get paid up to $15,000 in cash. not upon conviction, for information. I know you stay in touch with Rocky Mount Police Department, or you try to.
Yeah.
But people, if you know anything about Stephanie Hooper in this particular case, please text a tip to Rocky Mount. Reach out to Team Cold Case 252-406-6736. Twin County Crime Stoppers 252-977-1111. Because there's a lot of unanswered questions here.
Yes, there is.
There, you know, what are some of the things that stand out to you that you want answers to? What strikes you as, you know, based on what you know that is so suspicious that, you know, naturally you want answers, but bring the public up to speed with what's going on.
Okay, so when my daughter was found deceased, I got a call from a gentleman using her phone who told me he was her roommate. And
where was this at? Where was she found?
she was on Williford Street
Okay.
in an apartment.
Okay.
So then, 2 days after that, I started watching posts on her Facebook page and on her obituary, and there was a guy that kept posting things. And so I got in touch with him, reached out, and found him on Facebook, and ends up that he also said he was a roommate. And I had given information to the detectives because in writing he told me that he found my daughter deceased prior to this other guy calling, removed evidence, and you know, nothing's been done about it. I even met the guy a week later up at Hardee's in Rocky Mount, and I was in the police station and asked the detectives, would you like to come pick him up for questioning? And I was asked, would I take a picture? So that's been very frustrating to me because I think both of these, the first gentleman that called me from my daughter's phone, they did take him in, questioned him, and my understanding is that they, you know, took a swab or what have you. The other guy, through this 11 months, has communicated with me. I have a lot of information, but no one would ever pick him up.
Got you. And you know, it's like I was talking with Lamm earlier. A lot of times they might have, and not just in this case, any case, they might be at almost the tipping point to maybe bring a charge, to maybe hold someone accountable, and they need just a little bit more information. And that's why I wanted you to come on so that we could reach out to the public and hopefully encourage someone to come forward with something that they may know. Because a lot of times people who perpetrate crime, believe it or not, they love to brag about it. They do.
Yeah.
And who knows, they may have gone out in the community and bragged about, hey, I did this, hey, I did that. There had actually been some discussion that her body was moved.
Yes, and that's why they sent her off for an autopsy, because she wasn't in probably the natural state of you would be in when you pass away. So the other thing is, this guy that I believe had something to do with my daughter's death keeps saying that everyone on the streets thinks he did it, and he's trying to put the blame on the guy who called me from her phone. So I always say, like, the guilty dog barks the loudest. Just kind of a little Southern saying. You
know, a lot of like volunteer firemen who have been arrested for setting fires, the way they call them is they love to be the first one back to the scene to help fight it. It's like the returning to the scene of the crime. And not only that, they try to help you with the investigation to, number one, gauge what you know, and two, to kind of throw you on somebody else's trail to ensure that you're not looking at them as a suspect.
Right.
You know. Right. And it sounds like to me, and I'm not saying he's involved, I'm not saying he's guilty, but it sounds like to me that's a very similar case to what you have going on.
Right. He had a lot of information that I have notated, copied all of his messenger information he sent me, all of the texts. He's changed his phone number a few times. And once you offered this reward, he's now disconnected that phone. So I've tried to keep in touch with him, not that I want to, because I do think that he had something to do with my daughter's death, but I just wanted to be able to keep in touch with him. So maybe eventually someone would pick him up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, drugs and crime and violent crime has affected so many. Again, working on the highway patrol, this is something we didn't typically deal with.
Right.
But as you know, it has recently showed its head in my family. You know, I never realized it was as bad as what it is, even right here in our community. My wife is a funeral director and embalmer up in Raleigh, and just within the past 10 days, 2 young men, college age, went to a party. They've never been in trouble with the law. They've never had any issues. Good kids. They were given a drug at a party to take at their own leisure. 3 of them went to this party together. They all left the party, went home on their own separate ways. One of the kids spent the night with another one of the other kids. Well, they decided before going to bed they would take it.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Well, the kid who went home alone did not. The next morning, the parent walked in to wake her kids up, or her son up, and his friend who spent the night, and they were both dead.
Gosh.
First time, to their knowledge, they had ever experimented with drugs. The first time. And it killed both of them young men.
Wow.
Fentanyl.
Right. And that's the thing I think people have to understand is, it only takes one.
That's right.
One time. And you don't know what you're taking.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what's been mixed with it. And it's killing out a generation
It is.
of people.
Mm-hmm. And it's affecting everything. Because drug activity is fed directly from criminal activity, whether it be, burglaries, shoplifting, things like that spill over as a result of drugs. I believe that.
Yes.
You take care of drugs, you address drug issues, a lot of these other things we have going on in society will take care of itself. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Thank you.
So I see that she was 41. So how old would she be now?
She would be 42, and she left behind 3 children.
3 children.
So when something like this happens, it's not just affecting me as a mother or her father. She has brothers. She has children. And
it's a ripple effect.
It is a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And my advice to parents is I'd never stepped away from my daughter during everything that was going on in her life. I tried to get help. It's hard unless the person wants help, but don't give up on them.
Yeah. Again, I see that in my family. Everybody says, well, I would do this, I would do that. Nah, you don't know what you're going to do.
Right.
You don't. I'm witnessing that now firsthand. It's easy to say to someone, I know what I'd do. I would do this, I would do that. I'd have them locked up. Until that phone rings and it's your child, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
Well, we're going to take a real quick break and talk a little bit more. We'll be right back. And welcome back. With me this morning is Donna Price. We're talking about her daughter, Stephanie Hooper, who was found deceased, suspicious death here in Rocky Mount, April 14th, 2023. Again, we grew up kind of in the same neighborhood over Brown Acres,
Yeah.
off of Old Wilson Road.
Yeah.
Some of my fondest memories were playing in that neighborhood, and I can see your mom and dad right now, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And your dad just passed away, about a year ago?
2 years.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him and my dad used to love to go hunting.
Yes, they did.
They used to hunt a bit, and if I'm not badly mistaken, I think one of my dad's, if not his last hunting trip, or one of his last ones was with your dad.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad hunted until he died at 86, and he went hunting the Saturday before he passed away.
One of my biggest regrets is not linking with him prior to him passing away. I really hate that didn't happen. But I remember him always having a smile. He seemed like he was a joker, wasn't he?
He was. He had a joke for everything. It's kind of like dad jokes.
Yeah. He just seemed like a very, from a kid's point of view, a very likable fellow. When did y'all move away?
We moved, they moved away in 88.
88.
I got married and then moved, around a little bit, being married, but they stayed there until 88. They moved back to Wilmington. That was our hometown.
Okay, all right. I didn't realize they were from down that way. Both of them?
My dad was from Burgaw and my mother was from Wilmington.
Okay.
We moved to Rocky Mount when I was 5.
Their work, I'm assuming, brought them?
My dad's work.
And what did he do?
He was in the finance business.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Did you go to West Edgecombe?
I did go to West Edgecombe until I was the first, I want to say the first graduating class at Southwest Edgecombe. We went.
So that had to be like early 80s?
Yeah, so 80 I graduated.
Okay.
So yeah, we changed schools right when we were going into our senior year.
Okay, so you and Nancy are probably the closest in age. My sister Nancy.
I think Cindy and I.
Cindy?
Yeah,
Okay.
Cindy and I are.
Okay.
Nancy, I
'Cause
think,
now
is more
Cindy-
of my sister's age.
I know Cindy graduated from West Edgecombe, and my sister Nancy graduated from Southwest, I believe in 1981, but I'm not for certain on that. Close to it anyway. I had something I was going to ask you. As far as talking about, and look, thank you for coming on the show and taking the time to share your information with the public on Stephanie. And I am hoping and I am praying that someone is watching this show who knows something or has heard something and is willing to reach out and share the information they know and get paid up to $15,000 in cash, so that, it's not going to bring Stephanie back, but, maybe answer some questions, offer that little bit of closure that we all so desperately want for our loved ones.
Yes, absolutely.
But thank you so much for doing that. So let's talk again about Stephanie. When did you last hear from her?
I saw Stephanie the week before she passed away.
Okay.
She had developed MRSA and had been in the hospital, and her power and utilities had been cut off. And so I came into town, I believe she died on the 14th. It was around the 6th of April. And she checked herself out of the hospital, which I knew her well enough that if I turned her power and water back on, she wouldn't go back to the hospital, and that wouldn't have ended well.
Right.
So I prayed about it, and I decided that I would not turn them back on to get her back in the hospital, and she did check herself back in. She got out of the hospital the following Wednesday, on the 12th, and then she was found deceased on the 14th.
To your knowledge, was anything going on in her personal life? Did she have any ongoing issues with anyone?
I really don't know that. Stephanie was very intelligent, and she, I think that she may have gotten herself into something, known a little bit too much about things more
Right.
than she should have, and not sure if that led to what happened to her on that Friday. So I didn't live here. I lived out of town, but I kept in touch with her regular and came here regular. So I'm not really sure about that.
And show those pictures again of Stephanie. I mean, she, like I told you earlier, she is a very, very attractive female. Whoever did this, if in fact somebody played a role in this death. I hope and I pray sincerely that they're held accountable. And folks, if you know anything, again, please text a tip to Rocky Mount PD. Reach out to Team Cold Case, Twin County Crime Stoppers. Her children, how are her children doing?
Good. There's one that's young, one, in her early teens, and the other in their late teens. I don't know how they're doing as well as they are doing, but they, and
What
I'm
are
very
ages?
involved. They're 4, 11, and 18,
4, 11,
and I'm
18.
very involved in their lives, but it's just very sad.
And I'm sure they have some unanswered questions, and it would offer them a lot of peace to know that if in fact somebody did play a role in this, that they're held accountable. The thing that strikes me is, from a law enforcement perspective, is her body being moved.
Yes.
Okay, red flags go up with me with that.
Yes.
That alone requires law enforcement intervention. Okay, why did you move it? And it would all begin with the reporting person. Who did report it? Who reported her that morning when she was found?
A guy that was supposedly her roommate. I wasn't aware she had roommates. And I got a call from my daughter's phone. So, of course, I answered the phone and said, "Hey, honey." And
Right.
this guy said, "Are you Stephanie's mom? I found her deceased or dead. She's dead," or something like that. But I was given information from another guy who found her probably between 4:30 and 5 that morning and did not call the police, and he removed evidence. And that's the one I think that needs to be picked up.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to take a real quick break, pay some bills, and we're going to be right back right after this.
Okay.
And welcome back. Again, we're here with Donna Price. We've been talking about your daughter, Stephanie Hooper, who was found deceased April 14th, 2023, kind of suspicious death situation. Jumping back into kind of where we grew up and how we knew each other, Blandwood Drive off of Old Wilson Road, Blandwood Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Nancy was showing me some pictures the other night of, I don't know if y'all had a play or something at church. God, we're going back to the 70s.
Was I an angel?
I think you might
Yeah.
have been.
Yeah.
But it was all the Powells were there, Steve, Janie, all the Powells were in the picture. But it was something going on at Blandwood Baptist Church. Those were some good times, some good memories.
Yes, it was. We grew up in the best neighborhood.
Yeah.
I say that, and I'll say it until I die.
Yeah.
It was the best neighborhood to grow up in.
Yeah. Steve Powell has said for years he would love for us to get together and have like a neighborhood reunion.
Yeah, him and I were working on that, and it kind of fell off. So that's something we need to do.
That was prior to COVID, though, right?
Yeah. So.
I wish I would, because I think that would just be great.
Oh, it would be.
One of Nancy's friends lived across the street from the Frasers in that brick house. There was a brick house there.
Yeah, I know the Whiteells lived directly across from us, but I can't remember the people that lived beside them.
That Miss Waddell was my preschool teacher at the Lady of Perpetual,
Yeah,
the Catholic
She
Church.
was awesome.
Yeah, very sweet lady.
Yes.
I have not thought of her in years until right then.
Yep.
I went to preschool there, and very sweet lady, very sweet lady. Golly, just good people in that neighborhood.
Yep.
She actually caught me playing. I was a firebug, okay? She actually caught me setting something on fire as a child in the yard next door, and she got me. That's back in the day where your neighbors would put you in line.
She called my mom all the time because my sister and I, it was funny, we lived in a neighborhood with 2 big circles, but my mom, sometimes she'd get irritated with us and make us just ride circles around the front of the house.
Mhm.
So we'd start doing little acts, and like we were in a circus on our bikes.
Uh-huh.
And Miss Whitell called my mom all the time. They're going to kill themselves. They're being that's dangerous. And so yeah, she was kind of the person who watched out for the kids in the neighborhood.
When you turned in off of Old Wilson Road and you're heading into the neighborhood, you'd kind of bear off to the right just a little bit, and then you'd go on. Who lived in that corner house? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It's been so long ago.
I was real good friends with the Smiths,
Yes,
who
Donna
lived.
Smith.
That's right. Her
Yeah.
dad was a Rocky Mount police officer.
Right.
And that was the first police officer I had ever known. As I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and that was kind of when I first started thinking I might want to go into law enforcement. That and Mr. T.C. Cherry would stop by the house and see Dad,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah.
I'm just impressed that we can remember all this.
My brain has always been like a sponge. I remember the strangest of things, strangest of details, as you know.
Yeah.
But again, we were talking about your daughter, and again, thank you for coming on. I hope that somebody's watching that knows something firsthand or has heard a rumor. The smallest of information that you might think is insignificant, please reach out to Rocky Mount Police Department, text a tip, Team Cold Case, Twin County Crime Stoppers, anything. Share that tip so that we can get it to law enforcement, because that little tip could lead to holding somebody accountable in this case.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for having me, and I also want to say to anyone who's lost a child, if you're living in Rocky Mount or the Nashville area and you know that it needs to be more information given, or stay on it, stay on the detectives, stay on the police. Don't let it just die with your child.
Reach out to us. Let us help give you a mouthpiece. Come on the show like you did. Come on the air, share what you know. A lot of times, it kind of goes back to what my mom used to say: a squeaky wheel will get oil. You'll get attention.
Absolutely.
And I hope you get the attention this case deserves, and I hope and pray that you get some information.
Yeah. And the one thing I tell James is, this will not bring my daughter back, but if we can get these people off the streets who are killing our children, our mothers, fathers, I'm praying that it will help someone else.
Yeah, and it will. Well, that pretty much wraps up our show. Thank you again so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next week.